This video will show you how to use an online Bible concordance. Begin by directing your computer to biblehub.com/concordance.
Suppose, for example, that you were reading in Mark chapter 6 and you come across in verse 52 the word heart. The passage reads, "But their heart was hardened." If you wanted to find out what that word was, come to this screen of biblehub.com, click on the brown icon that reads Strong's Exhaustive Concordance. And now you're presented with the next screen. Let's go directly to the search bar at the top and type in the passage. So, Mark 6:52. Enter that and notice what appears. What you're presented with then is the Greek text. So the reading here, verse 52, this is the Greek word order. You don't have to know Greek to isolate the meaning or the particular word that's being used. Just look at the interlinear. That's this tan-colored script. Again, it's word for word. Continues down to this next line. And here you see the word heart. So, cardia, and they've transliterated it here. So cardia is the word in Greek underlying the word heart. Do keep in mind that this is version specific. So being that it's in working with Strong's, this will be a concordance on the King James Version. So you need to identify the word in the King James Version, even though the base version that you may be working from might be NRSV. In order to search for the Greek word using Strong's Concordance, you'll have to figure out what that word was in the King James. So here's our King James translation, and we see that heart is cardia. The numbers that are across the top above the transliteration then are the Strong's code numbers. Each word from the Bible is assigned a number in the Strong's listing. This word happens to be number 2588. Simply by clicking on it, it'll bring you to a page that provides this information.
At this point, you're ready to fill in the first piece of information for your word study, and that is writing down in transliteration, that is in English alphabet characters, what is the basic word that pertains to that you're studying. So in this case, you would want to write down cardia. The next step that we'll take involves range of meaning. The idea here is to answer the question, given this basic word, cardia in the Greek, how many ways can it be translated? How many different translations is it able legitimately to support? Notice we're not limiting it to this verse right now. We'll come back to this verse later, but we're asking across all of its usages within the Greek New Testament, how many different ways has it been translated? You can get a little bit of an idea of that by looking at the right column as you see some other passages containing it, but that's not going to be a real satisfactory way to get the broad picture. Instead, we want to come over to the left here. We get a little bit of help from this word usage. It says literally, it's the heart. So that would be the literal or the anatomical meaning in the case of a word related to a body part. They say we want to keep in mind that at times it has to do with the mind, it has to do with character, inner self, will, intention, center. I've purposely worded that it has to do with. In other words, we're not saying that this usage line gives word for word legitimate replacement translations. It's just talking about the general zone. Again, keep in mind what we're looking for now is range of meaning, and that's actual legitimate usage in translation. Under this helps word studies, we can get a little bit of an idea. We have this description provided, the affective center of our being. So the center related to feeling. Another, capacity of moral preference, volitional desire, choice. Someone else by the name of Archer has said it is the desire producer that makes us tick. That sounds like a somewhat colloquial one, doesn't it? But they're talking about longings, aren't they? All right, that's helpful. We're beginning to get a bigger picture of this word in its Greek usage, New Testament usage. What do we find here under NAS? That's New American Standard, an exhaustive concordance that's dedicated to this version. Well, we find here under NASB translation, New American Standard Bible Translation, here this is a little more useful because it gives us a sense of the distribution of the various range of meaning choices within this particular New American Standard Bible version. So, of the various quantity of times it shows up in the Greek New Testament, 102 times it is translated there with the word heart. The next one is pretty similar, isn't it? A possessive form, and heart's just a plural form. So those group together pretty closely. Twice, the NASB translator said, we don't want heart for the connotations that has in the English language. No, what's going on here is mind. That's interesting. Or plural minds. I'm curious which it is that's been translated quick. What passage? There's one time where they said it's more like spirit. Now, Greek has another word that we routinely translate spirit, but there was one place where they said, this is what we think it is. So we're beginning to get a sense of the range of translation here according to the New American Standard Bible translating team. Let's go a little bit deeper, and here we have access to Thayer's Greek lexicon. Again, lexicon is a dictionary for classical language such as Greek or Hebrew or Latin. And they are telling us about this word cardia. Now you are finding the Greek script fairly freely used, but you'll just have to believe that this is if you don't have the Greek ability, that they're staying with the same word. Let's see what they're telling us. Giving us a little bit of background in the classical Greek, aren't they? Talking about a certain form that's almost always in Homeric Greek. So they're giving us details about spelling. That's not particularly useful to us right now. Now, under the end of that entry, here's a little interesting bit of information. The Septuagint for lave and levav. So they're telling us that when the translators of the Septuagint ran into these two words, which are heart in Hebrew, then cardia is the word they used to translate it. That's not a piece of information you can use right now, but just be aware that these kind of resources are watching for translation trends that would have influenced the New Testament community. It's probably more than you needed to know, right? Let's see what happens when we go to the specific meanings that this Thayer's lexicon provides for us. So Arabic numeral 1, they're saying the anatomical meaning, the organ in the body, center of circulation. So literal organ, the body. And then we begin to broaden out a bit. The seat and center of all physical and spiritual life. Vigor and sense of physical life. Now we are broadening out. We're getting the usage of and connotation of heart metaphorically. We're broadening out our range of meaning, aren't we? How about 2 subpoint B, the inner man, the inner person, with the idea of thoughts, passions, desires, appetites, and so forth. Notice as we're going through this, we're finding some Bible passages where these meanings may be seen or may be attested. Once again, I expect these are all going to be King James, since that's the inroad we've used to get here. So if you're working from NRSV or something else, and you open up one of these through Thayer's, you might find it's different. It's been translated differently in NRSV than it was in Thayer's, but at least it does get you back to the Greek underlying either what you have in NRSV or what you have in King James. As you can see, we can gain benefit to read, in fact, just reading some of these bold words, scanning those, we begin to get a broader sense of the range of meaning. Notice this, the understanding faculty of intelligence. So we're moving away clearly from the corporeal, the anatomical heart. We're moving away from desires. Now we're moving to thinking. So in some situations, it's the faculty of intelligence that's meant by cardia. I think you get the idea how one can use particularly the Thayer's Greek lexicon in order to build out our sense of the range of meaning. It is this range of meaning that translators reflect on and have access to as they make a decision, an interpretive choice. How should it be rendered in this passage of Mark chapter 6? And by engaging this word study, we're allowing you to operate at that level of the word study interpreter. The next thing that you'll be doing in the assignment is to indicate which of the range of meaning, which one you think fits best in Mark 6, and explaining why.